Plaintiff Joanne Banks was married to the defendant's son, and although they're now divorced, she is still close to his children. Joanne is suing her former mother-in-law because she claims she told people that Joanne is promiscuous and that her young son is a gangbanger. Defendant Paula Carmack insists Joanne is promiscuous and has a propensity for being irresponsible. So Paula had every right to say what she did about her. Paula's countersuing Joanne for harassment.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
First, Your Honor, let me say thank you for allowing me to be here, definitely in a month of mental health awareness. To me, this is a divine intervention.
You're an advocate for mental health, or you work
Yes,
in the
I am.
field?
My 10-year-old son has PTSD.
Okay. Where did that come from? Because my understanding is not genetic. It's
No, it's not
environmental.
genetic. I lived a very adverse life, living in shelters. Also living in a battered women's shelter, which would bring me to being married to her son. I was engaged to her son in 2013, 2014.
Okay, let me explain to people what went on here. Post-traumatic stress syndrome is
Yes, sir.
what you said it was. Folks, that's why I say post, that's when a person has been traumatized so much in their life
Yes.
that it has altered their behavior and
emotional
sometimes thrown
feelings.
them into long-term depression. And so that comes from trauma.
Yes.
And there's a debate whether inner city life in the ghetto creates PTSD, because you live amongst violence, shooting. You live the same way they do in a war.
And abuse.
You live the same way. Guns, shot.
Right.
You listen and you're worried that you're going to get shot. Your friends are getting killed. This is happening in your community. Boom. Then
And for
now we're
kids-
hearing that even abject poverty, going from homelessness to homelessness,
Yes.
causes PTSD in your case, in your son's case. That's what
and
you're
even
telling
living
us?
in a house of abuse and witnessing
Mm-hmm.
your parents going through arguing and fighting, and definitely for a kid, when you love both of your parents, they can't emotionally handle that.
You want to give me some background, ma'am?
Joanne was married to my son. But to tell you a little bit about me, I'm a retired educator. I've been a guardian to 2 of my 6 grandchildren. And
Why? Why were you a guardian to them?
I was a guardian because their parents were unfit to take care of them.
Okay.
That's why.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why Joanne is dragging me into court regarding this ridiculous lawsuit, because she's talking about my granddaughter. She's not biologically related to her. And she has a propensity for having irregular behavior.
I would
And
definitely have to
we've had-
interrupt you with that, because your granddaughter still to this day calls me mom, and I actively act as a mom.
I don't know why she's dragging me into court. My granddaughter is presently staying with her grandmother in Georgia. She's in a stable household.
Did you and your daughter-in-law get along all
Oh,
along?
we had a very ambivalent relationship. Sometimes it was good and sometimes it was bad.
All right. And what are you suing her for exactly today?
Exactly, I'm suing her for emotional distress and defamation of character. My ex-husband, my daughter's mom, and as well as my daughter called me and asked me could
Your
my-
daughter's mom.
Yes, because I still consider her as my daughter, even though I'm divorced from her son. Both of his children still call me mom.
And the child lives where now? With her dad?
No, the child lives with the other
Why
grandmother.
does she live with the dad?
It's a story that I can't even say.
Okay.
She's an adverse teen. She needs help, and she's with the other grandmother, who is a beautiful person. I keep in contact with the daughter, and the grandmother has seen me through FaceTime.
Good. What did she do to you?
She called the grandmother, which is a complete stranger to her. They're both complete strangers. She called the grandmother, told her some raunchy things about me.
Why do you think she did that?
Well, she told the grandmother that my 10-year-old son, who I told you suffered from PTSD, totes guns around the city. He does not tote guns, and he is not a gangbanger. And my 10-year-old son still considered her as grandmother, and it hurted him. He wanted to understand, why would grandma paint me as a gangbanger? And I love her. And also in that conversation, she told the grandmother...
How'd that hurt your reputation?
It hurt my reputation because I am trying to start a non-for-profit organization that tends to at-risk teens and at-risk adults. I run a cleaning business.
So you're saying that if you're running a program to help at-risk teens,
yeah,
it would hurt your reputation. So what else you want to sue her about? What else she do to you?
At the time, I just had a 3-week-old son, and I was dealing with postpartum depression. So she told the grandmother that I was promiscuous, and I do not know who my son's father is. And at that time...
Why do you think she did that?
For years, she has always called me out my name. It has gotten to the point of our history. Even when our son...
Has there ever been any good moments?
The only time that there's been a good moment is when she didn't think that I was with her son.
Okay, so the majority of the interaction has been negative.
Yes, my mother sat in an arena with her where she was calling me a thought.
So she was calling you a thought.
Yes,
where?
You have the witness statement from my mom saying that she was sitting in an arena with her where she was calling her daughter a thought. My mother is 40 years older than me, and she does not know what a thought means, and I had to explain it to her.
And that wasn't defamation. If she didn't know what it means, you shouldn't have explained it. If you knew it was defamatory towards you, you shouldn't have told your mother. Hurt your own reputation by telling her.
I don't know why Joanne is dragging me into court regarding this ridiculous lawsuit. My granddaughter, she's not biologically related to her, and she has a propensity for having irregular behavior.
I will definitely have to re-interrupt you with that, because your granddaughter still to this day calls me mom, and I actively act as a mom.
Defendant Paula Carmack is being sued by her former daughter-in-law, who claims Paula defamed her by saying she was promiscuous and that her young son was a gangbanger.
Ma'am, did you do any of these things?
First of all, my granddaughter's grandmother called me, and she asked me, who is Joanne? I told her that Joanne was my son's ex-wife. She asked me, did I think it would be a good idea to send my granddaughter up to stay with Joanne. My granddaughter is 15 years old. She's a teenager. Joanne has a 10-year-old son. She has a 3-week-old baby, and I don't think it would be a healthy environment for my 15-year-old granddaughter.
Why?
Because she has a propensity for being irresponsible.
In what way?
Okay, Joanne took my granddaughter to her house one day. And something happened between my granddaughter and Joanne.
No, you have to say what happened. You can't just say something if you're saying she did something wrong.
Okay, she and my granddaughter, I think they got into some type of a fight.
They got into a fight.
A fight.
All right,
okay?
let's move on. That's your thoughts.
I don't think it would be a good idea for remove my granddaughter.
And you haven't said why.
Why?
Yes, you haven't proven why. Tell me why.
I don't think it would be a good idea to bring my granddaughter.
You said that several times. Tell me why, please.
Because Joanne is not responsible.
Okay, good enough. How do you know she's not responsible? You have to prove that. Otherwise, you are guilty of defamation.
Okay,
You stated this as a fact. Now let's get to the promiscuity. Did you ever tell anyone she was promiscuous?
Yes.
Why?
Because she and one of my son's friends, they were both going with her at the same time. That is a fact that I know of, because I know that for a fact.
How does that make her promiscuous? A person that's promiscuous jumps around to a bunch of men. She's just double timing your son, that's all.
Well, no.
Don't get mad at that.
Which I've never done.
She want to sue you because she wanted to defame you because you broke up with her son.
No,
all right,
that's not.
And what else? You've concluded, you stated as what you believe your fact is that she's promiscuous, and you've told people that.
I just told the grandmother.
That's people.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, a person. How about calling her a thought?
Oh, I don't remember calling her.
Okay. How about the gang? How about her son carrying a gun?
No, I didn't say any. Her son was on my front porch, and he was talking to me about guns. And he said that his mother took him to the gun range, and I said, that's fine. And he said, Coco, that's what the kids call me. I like guns, but I never said anything about her son toting guns
You
around.
said he goes to the gun range and practice?
That's what he
Ma'am?
told me.
Does your son go to the gun range and practice?
No, my son went to my concealed carry class with me to learn how to properly be around a gun, not tote a gun at all. And the instructor actually commanded me that I wanted my son to be knowledgeable if I was going to have a gun in the home.
Good, but he didn't go and practice.
No, he did not. He didn't even touch a gun.
All right. And once again, you're coming up with all this, ma'am. What's your counterclaim for harassment?
My counterclaim is for her bringing me here for this frivolous
Okay, it's not
loss.
frivolous at all. In fact, she won.
Okay.
In fact, I believe you defamed her. You concluded, even in here today, that she was promiscuous and other conclusions you made today. And you stated them as a question of fact, meaning it could or could not be true based on what you say. Opinion is not a question of fact. Okay. Opinion can never be disproved or proved. It can't be. It's impossible because it's a person's opinion. It can be proven whether a person is promiscuous. It can be proven that they jump around to a lot of people. You didn't prove that.
Okay.
But it can be, but it wasn't. So that means there was a question of fact of whether she jumped around with a lot of men. That's why I gave you the opportunity to prove it, and you couldn't. All you could say is she was cheating on your son, which is not promiscuous. It's called she didn't want your son no more, so she got somebody else. That's what that's called. And I'm going to grant her judgment for the $5,000. Your claim is dismissed. It wasn't frivolous at all. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor. I love you, but I hope you learn your lesson to stop talking about people. You just paid $5,000 to talk about someone who still cared about you.
She can't take my granddaughter
And I can. It's okay.
because she doesn't talk
She'll
to
see
my
her
son.
mom.
Pardon me?
She'll see her mom when she wants to.